Okay, so timed platforms. This is exactly as the name says. You have these platforms, they're numbers, and those numbers tell you how many seconds they're going to stay alive. And in this one, this is pretty easy, right? This isn't even much of a puzzle, because some levels, they're like sort of a puzzle trying to figure out which one you want to land on and save for like the last. Be able to make it to the checkpoint or whatever. And in this one, it's easy. You just sort of over here, over here. Make sure you jump over that muncher. Mario can still touch that muncher. And actually, another good thing to note there is that in the much more difficult ones, if they're moving really fast, you're actually able to walk off of some of them and then land onto the one beneath. And that is something that saves you a lot of time, right? Because this is supposed to be a very time-based trick, because they're gonna stay alive only for a certain amount of time. So the longer that Mario is up in the air, the worse it ends up becoming. So good luck, have fun. Okay, so the block dupe. This is actually something that I'd argue is not very important for you to really know. It's not used in a lot of today's hacks. If you wanted to go back and do some of the older hacks, maybe it'd be useful. But this specifically is used like basically in the original Super Mario World speedruns. I can't think of this being used in any of today's modern ROM hacks. But a couple things you need to know. If Mario's actually too far away from this block that you're going to be duplicating, you can actually duplicate it to the left or diagonally. And the entire point of this is to duplicate it upwards over the stone block. So make sure that Mario is as close to it as possible. Now, what you will want to do is you will jump, and as Mario is descending, you throw the shell upwards. And you'll be throwing that shell upwards once the shell is roughly about halfway over the turn block itself. And this is so much easier said than done. So much easier said than done. There we go. You can also do it jumping upwards and throwing it upwards, but from what I was told, that ends up being 1 out of 60 chance versus 2 out of 60, and I prefer to make it a little easier on myself. So good luck. Okay, so mushroom and spin. This one's not too bad. A couple things I guess to note is that when this is actually put into the context of some creators' ROM hack, these can sort of end up being a puzzle, trying to figure out which blocks you need to smash first to save, like, for last. But in this level itself, it's relatively simple. You legit just spin jump, you hold spin jump, and just sort of work the D-pad left and right, depending on if you're needing to speed up or slow down. I find myself doing left-rights whenever these, I sometimes call them specialists, but the turn blocks are rather close to each other to sort of speed up and slow down, and then I hold forward even more whenever there's a bit of a gap between them. Okay, so the torpedo. This one's not too bad. More or less, you just jump, hold spin jump, Y, and sort of maybe work a little bit of a left-right in there if you feel like Mario's getting a little too close to the muncher. In the context of other levels, it may be more difficult when you're trying to, like, keep up with them and chase after them, but this one is relatively simple. Mid-air thwomp. So you know what a thwomp is already, I'm assuming. If you don't, well, if Mario gets too close to this, then it'll just randomly drop. Mario's capable of spin jumping on it. And in this scenario, what the creator wants you to do is jump out as close to it as possible to make it drop, do a little bit of a left-right, and then move Mario back over to the point that it actually touches the thwomp and bounces off of it. So like this. The entire time I did that, I held Y, A, the biggest jump frickin' possible, and just a little bit of a left-right. I know it's easier said than done, it'll probably take you a little bit to get used to it, but those aren't as bad as they really seem. Rotating platforms. So honestly, I don't think there's much I can tell you here. Other than just really work on your platforming. Try to see an opening as to when you're capable of running underneath munchers and when you need to jump to the next rotating platform. If you don't time it right, you're going to have a bad time. Right there, now I ran off of that while holding jump. So I believe I spoke about this in one of the earlier videos, but Mario ends up staying in the air longer if you hold jump. So, or if you hold jump, when you jump, Mario will end up falling slower, and in this case, if you just walk off of something while still holding jump, you get the same idea. Mario's gonna fall slower. That way I didn't have to jump off of the platform onto the other platform. At that point, all I have to worry about is hitting the munchers when I'm jumping off of the very last platform, instead of dealing with the munchers twice. Be eerie. So this one, in my opinion, is easier than the torpedo, because it's just slower. You spin jump on it, bounce over those. Try to find a point where you can sort of like let go of the controller, right? So Mario, half the time he'll move faster than some things. So what you want to try and do is slow him down to the point he's going to be moving at the same speed as what he's trying to ride. And that's what I did right there. It's also good to note in some levels that use these Eries, you have to actually respawn them. Sometimes you'll have to like use them multiple times, where once you've rode it, you'll have to actually like move backwards to spawn one again to be able to make it further and progress through the level. In this case, you didn't have to worry about that though. The bubble jump. So for this one, you want to jump and hold jump the entire time. You'll want to do a little bit of a left-right, and if you do the left-right correctly, you're going to hit the bottom Goomba. You don't really want to worry about the top one. You're just wanting to do the left-right, make sure Mario falls and actually touches the very last Goomba. It may feel a little awkward at first, but that's something that you can definitely get pretty consistently. Precise beans. This is funny, because I don't think really anyone has a good idea as to what these are, if they're beans or what. But take note of the outcome of what happens when Mario's like trying to jump on one side. So like on the left, you basically get no bounce on it, versus like right here, I'm tapping jump and nothing's happening. In this scenario itself, you want to stand roughly in the middle though, pretty close to the middle. You want to jump as high as possible and not touch the munchers. So what I'm actually doing right here, I'm doing the biggest jump possible. Basically, Mario's hat is touching the muncher, but he doesn't actually like die from it, which is sort of funny. And just do that, basically. You just do a big jump and move Mario over to that side. Now, right here is where it gets a little bit more difficult, though, right? So you'll want to work roughly somewhere in the middle, too. And this one's going to be much easier to touch the muncher, I feel. So let's try to not get too close to that muncher. And jump, move Mario over. Oh, man. That's the cheek clenching moment. The first part's pretty easy to get through. I feel like that second one's going to be more difficult, though, because of the muncher that is on the ledge you're trying to make it on. So, good luck and have fun.